When you gamble, you run the chance of losing. That's why it's called gambling. You also run the chance of succeeding, of winning. If there can be, philosophically speaking, there is no success without failure. I mean, if everybody succeeded, we wouldn't have there'd be nothing to measure success against. But if you fail, you learn from what you learn from the experience, you learn what you did wrong, and you do better the next time. Any coach will tell you, you learn more from games you lose than from games you win. And life is so full of opportunities that if you don't reach out and grab at them, then you're just watching life go by. Initially, the first time you get nasty criticism, and some of the stuff I get has been pretty nasty, but it's true of everyone. It's like having someone tell you that you have an ugly child, because a book is really the child of your mind. And when somebody trashes your book, it's like saying something, that's the ugliest, dumbest, most worthless little girl I've ever seen in my life. Of course, when somebody says that about one of your children, you just want to rearrange his head with give him an Excedrin headache number 357. But first of all, you try to discriminate the legitimate criticism from the illegitimate. And every so often, a critic says something intelligent, and you necessarily have to listen to it. It's part of the process. On the whole, I would say that all this success nonsense has not really had a grave effect on my life, for the simple reason that I haven't allowed it to. And well, maybe more importantly than that none of this happened until I was well into my 30s. My character, for better or worse, was fully formed. One of the problems with success is that you run the risk of believing all the crap that people tell you about how wonderful you are, and gee, Mr. Clancy, you're the best writer in the world right now, which of course is not true. In my case, I was pretty grown up when it happened to me, and the people I feel sorry for, people like, as an example, John McEnroe, who had people telling him that when he was 19 and probably not old enough to have the defenses against hearing nonsense like that. When you're 19 and people tell you things like that, you probably start believing it because you don't know any better. And that can be very, very destructive. Any serious study of history would conclude that military operations and the way wars are fought and resolved are probably the most important determining factor in human social evolution. That the fact that there is a place called the United States of America results from a war we call the Revolutionary War. The fact that the Jews were not exterminated worldwide results from the fact that in World War II we defeated Adolf Hitler. The fact that we live in a free country today stems from the fact that we were not overturned by communism, and in fact we defeated communism. Therefore, an objective observer would have to say that conflict has essentially shaped the world that we have today, for better or worse. The good news, I think, is that the forces of light ultimately defeat the forces of darkness, because the forces of light are ultimately stronger than the forces of darkness. And successful societies tend to be stronger than unsuccessful ones. And the reason the United States essentially defeated the Soviet Union is because freedom and democracy as a political and economic system is much more efficient than a totalitarian system. The only way to avoid risk is not to do anything. And that method of avoiding risk also carries the price that you're avoiding success as well. Now, attempting to succeed necessarily means risking failure. And all too many people do not do that because they're afraid to fail. Well, failure is nothing to be afraid of. Not taking the chance, not trying, not going after your dream, that's something to be afraid of. There's one thing in life that scares the hell out of me, and that's turning 65 and looking in a mirror and telling myself, you should have done that when you had the chance, but you didn't have the guts to try. And that's something I'm really afraid of, as a result of which I do lots of foolish things, because probably the only real failure a person can know is the failure to try. You know, why be afraid of why be afraid of failing? Because even when you fail, you're trying to do something. And the world is full of people who there's a great quote from Teddy Roosevelt. You know, the poor unhappy souls who will know neither victory nor defeat because they never tried. I don't want to be one of those.